Hi, Ainur. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting these essays for you. Let's take a look at what you've done here. The first one is about schools and if they should be academic or entertaining. Let's see. Nowadays, a schooling system is facing a problem whether to maintain a canonical way of teaching or get more engaging and fun. The fast-changing society demand that education include more excitement to serious academic lessons. This essay will discuss these issues using examples from Finland and Oxford University to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay. Let's talk about this. The first thing that I see here is that your paragraphing is not clear. Maybe it's because of the program you used, but your paragraphing it's just like one big mass. And so automatically, if you were to do something like that in IELTS, they would drop your coherence and cohesion score down to a 5 because the paragraphing is not clear. Okay, so the simplest, easiest way you can make sure that your paragraphing is clear is by leaving an entire space between each paragraph. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is grammar. There were some grammar problems in this paragraph. We'll talk about what they are, but I definitely noticed there were some mistakes. Let's talk about what the third issue is. It asks you a very direct question, and what you'll find in IELTS essays is that there's usually a very specific command where they tell you what they want you to talk about, or they ask you a question. Whatever that is, a command or a question, you must answer it very directly in your introduction. This is an important step towards getting a 7 in task achievement because your position needs to be clear throughout your essay. And throughout means from the beginning to the end. And that didn't happen here. You simply said that this essay will discuss these issues. Said it right here, okay? And that's not going to help you because that means I don't know your position until I get to the end, most likely. Okay? So let's take a look at it again, this time to fix the vocabulary and grammar issues, since we've talked about the other things. Nowadays, the education system is facing a problem whether to maintain a canonical way of teaching or to become more engaging and fun. The fast-changing society demands education include more excitement in serious academic lessons. This essay will discuss these issues using examples from Finland, Oxford University. Okay, fine. So a couple of issues there. All right, let's continue now. Schools must include entertaining elements or elements of entertainment in their teaching. This is because children get bored and impatient in classes which are conducted for an extended time. It is difficult for pupils to maintain long attention span and interest whilst their young organisms is demanding. Okay, grammar. Whilst they, yeah. This is awkward. Whilst their, how about this? Their youth demands more action and energetic tasks. You could have done that. An experiment run by Finnish schools showed that students improved their focus and performance by 60%. You don't need a comma here. When classes were alternated with more interactive lessons such as PE, music, or arts. Therefore, a curriculum must include mixed subjects to increase study focus and avoid boredom. Okay. On the other hand, schools must prepare all-round students ready to face modern competitive world. Grammar. All right. On the other hand, schools must prepare, I think you mean well-rounded students ready to face the modern competitive world. Obtaining knowledge often means to practice learned material. Obtaining knowledge often means to practice learned material repeatedly in order to reinforce memory. The Oxford University reported that their most promising alumni did not shy away from routine tasks and were extremely persistent in problem solving, which they learned in school. Consequently, teenagers who are disciplined and hardworking receive more comparing to their peers. Okay, I have a little issue with some of the ideas here. We'll talk about them. Let's look at your conclusion first. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe that education should strictly prepare young people for the hardships of the capitalistic oriented world. Maybe it's better. Although as of today, teachers have already been. All right, get rid of this. I don't want this here at all because it's a brand new idea. You never talked about interactive boards and videos anywhere in the essay, and so you don't want to introduce any new ideas here in your conclusion. That's a strong no. Your conclusion is only to wrap up, to kind of reinforce, represent ideas, but not anything new. And I don't really know if I wanted to see this about capitalistic society. You never talked about that anywhere, so I again feel like you're introducing something new. So, how about this? I truly believe that education should strictly prepare young people for the challenging future that awaits them, and this should be done by academic-focused schools, period. That's it, okay? All right, so I think what I told you is I didn't love, let me see, this paragraph, although this was the paragraph you supported. I mean, what are you telling? Like, I wanted you to be more like saying that, look, this academic only type of education is really important because, you know, it's a cutthroat world. Students need knowledge. The more knowledge, the better, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no room for fun and entertainment and movies and playing in class, okay? So I wanted you to talk about this a little more clearly, and I don't feel like this was particularly clear. Another thing is that I don't want to see, on the other hand, unless up above you've used on the one hand. These two go together, so don't separate them. All right, if you're going to use one, then you have to use the other. All right, I'm really excited about reading your next essay, so let's take a look at what you did there. Okay. Parents around the world believe that the young generation considerably gains from books and reading, although some argue that extracurricular and recreational activities, upscale is the wrong word here, okay, wrong word, improve children's potential. The essay will discuss these open questions using examples from Swedish University and Brain Research Institute to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay. Research Institute should be capitalized. Again, you did the same thing. You didn't tell me what your position is. Don't tell me about Swedish University without telling me your position. I need to know what it is, okay? So please remember that. You need to tell us what your position is. Parents enjoy playing games, drawing, or singing together with their offspring, and this improves. All right, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to find vocabulary to avoid saying children. So you're using words like brood. You're using words like offspring. And I appreciate that, but it's not the best approach. You see, when we talk about children, the word we use is children. It's the most natural, it's the most correct. Offspring and brood feel like not particularly natural, okay? So avoid it. Just use children. Or even better is to find ways to create cohesion by using pronouns and maybe rephrasing the sentence so you don't have to use children so many times. Let me show you. Parents often enjoy playing games, drawing, or singing together with their children, and this improves abilities in little ones. Okay? I would have just done it like that. I don't know what's happening in the rest of the sentence. This improves abilities, discovers genius, and trains their logical and social skills. It felt a little strange to me. Okay? Because you don't, how do you, and this discovers genius? That doesn't make sense. Okay? And trains, so you're trying to use a parallel structure here. So this improves, you need an S. Discovers, you need an S. And trains, you need an S. Let's see, this improves abilities. You know what? You could have just done that. This improves abilities, but I still disagree with discovers genius and trains their logical and social skills. This is because while growing, comma, you don't grow a child, you raise a child. This is because while growing, comma, a child experiences S, new things and grasps S, a lot of knowledge and skills through fun, not through fun way, through fun, period. For example, Swedish universities show that toddlers, you need an apostrophe after that S, brains are extremely vulnerable and function as a white canvas. Any information promptly sinks in. Therefore, spending recreation time and interacting with children develops them in a very efficient way. Okay. I really wanted to see more about logical and social skills. You said that all these things that playing can do, and you told me why, but you didn't really give me any examples, and I wanted that. White canvas, information sinks in. Okay, so if that's the case, why is playing and singing and drawing good, but reading is not? Remember, this is about reading as well. So I felt like there were some holes here in the arguments, and so I'm not really 100% clear on your viewpoint. Okay. Reading is the most effective way to learn things and is beneficial to all ages. All right, now this is a little strange to me because all of a sudden now you're changing sides. Now you're talking about how wonderful reading is. There should have been some sort of a word here to indicate contrast, okay? You could have said literally in contrast, okay? And that would have been nice. So particularly for youngsters, comma, books are specifically made colorful with vivid pictures. The content is often matte. All right, I don't know what's going on with your grammar here, Ainur. Let's see. Particularly for youngsters, comma, books are specifically made colorful with vivid pictures and the content is often matched for their abilities. There we go. Indulging in reading boosts, you need an S, their imagination, and teaches them to be patient and independent. For example, Brain Development Society reported that we effortlessly obtain information. Don't write info. All right, it's not an email to a friend, it's an IELTS essay. Information from the paper, printed materials, and then our brain engages several senses to memorize a story. A. Consequently, reading fantasy, please spell it correctly, books with illustrations is good, because it's one thing, it's reading, is good for young minds. And I don't understand this mirrors. I don't understand it at all. Now, the problem with this essay is I didn't see anything about creativity. The essay is about creativity. Better skills and creativity, okay? You talked about skills, nothing about creativity. And so this is going to be a big problem for your task achievement. All right, to conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe that parents must educate and raise their children to be not all-rounded, well-rounded, creative and skilled. And these can be achieved not only by reading, also with games, drawing, music, and arts. Okay. So look, for your first attempt, I think you're doing fine, but I'll tell you a few things that I noticed. Number one, your basic grammar has a lot of mistakes. You keep forgetting the S on the end of on a lot of your verbs, okay, in the third person singular. So that's a problem because it's really basic grammar. And, examiners are a lot stricter when you get your basic grammar wrong than when you get your advanced grammar wrong. So that's an issue. I need you to work on it. I also need you to work on that introduction that we talked about making sure your position is absolutely clear. Also, I'm going to ask you, please, not to use this kind of format because it's really difficult to read. And also, the formatting is just really odd because, like I said, there's no paragraphing here. So I'm wondering if maybe you did it in like a Word document, it would come out better and be a lot easier to read. So please consider that. All right, go ahead and correct these. Take my information into consideration. Try to apply as much of it as you can. All right, so I'll be waiting for your next set. Good luck.